Just a Thought, a show that starts with a simple premise and explores how different people view different subjects. The greatest philosophies, the most revolutionary changes, and the greatest inventions. And all of them started with just a thought.
What it do, what it do, what it do. As always, from the 202 to the 810 family. I know it's Friday, and we thought we'd help old Otis out and give him a little break. He's been working hard for the people at 810, so we thought we'd tap in on this Good Friday since we heard it was some space and time available. Good to see everybody in this 810 chat. Wanda Smith, thank you so much for tapping in and joining us this evening. H Stag, good to see you. Thank you for tapping in. In case you don't know the house rules of 810 News Media Group, first and foremost, we'd like to say welcome, welcome, welcome. It's $5 Friday, and we do want to make sure that our producer, Spacey Sprocket himself, aka Otis, gets paid as always. So make sure you hit that $5 Friday donation. Carolyn Hendricks, thank you so much for tapping in. Georgia boy, top of the evening to you. That is my disruptive co-host over there on Australia that has forgotten that we are live right now and is messing around with her phone. And in case you don't know why the 202 is here on 810, you will hear it from Mickey himself in trouble. Once again, she's being disrespectful to my time. She's got me started off, y'all. It's Friday. Okay, thank you. I'll start over again. House rules are number one, make sure that you hit that like button and let them know that you are present in the chat. This is an interactive chat. We don't like to talk to people. We don't preach, we teach around here. And then we would like for you to share it out. And then finally, but not last, depending on how long we'll be on here, because Anna's working it out, we'd like for you to make sure that you donate to the community Pod 810, because we don't know how long they're going to let us sit up here and run with this freedom of speech. But we're so happy to be here from the 202 to the 810. All right, I forgot. So why is 202 here on 810? Because Mickey and Trevor will tell you they're going international and national, and we are so happy to be a part of that movement for 810. But we'll say because a lot of the things that are happening in the nation's capital definitely are popping out in these streets. And we just like to have this time to chat together to make sure that we have an understanding that I'm not crazy, they are. And Anna's mayor, Bow Bow, might be crazy, but not me. What's up, Cuzzo, Maria Carter? Again, thank you for the $5 super chat. She said, for the 810 crew and the 202, just a thought, love and kisses. And we definitely rock it out with you, Maria Carter. You couldn't see it because I got the green screen, but we appreciate you. And today's show is going to be sponsored by the letter S for Still Here. I don't know if the rapture happened, but I know that you see my face and I see yours, which means we are still here in these streets. On to go ahead and kick it off for the people on this Good Friday.
What a week, what a week, what a week, what a week. Well, as y'all know, in DC this week, Yogi G is Congressional Black Caucus Week. So they have been showing down at the convention center, talking, and a couple of people that we love to hear them talk about democracy and change did not mention this person's picture who I'm going to pull up. So I want to do a moment of silence. I'm going to put this picture up. Most of y'all should know who it is. I will tell you who it is just for people that don't know who it is, but I'm going to give a moment of silence. Well, today we lost an icon, I feel, in history, which U.S. history would tell you that was not history, and she should not be taught in school. Well, we all know that y'all need to know who Assata Shakur was. So if anyone in the chat knows anything about Sata Shakur, please share. This amazing woman was taken, her freedom was taken away and was accused of killing. And she did none of those things. And of course, I'm tongue twisted now. I had all of it in my head on what I wanted to say, but the reality is, with a lot of information as fast as it's coming in these days, just like Yogi G said earlier, we don't know when the takeover will happen, but I do know one thing. Got to keep reading, reading, and reading. Yogi G, what do you know about Assata Shakur before I play this video?
I know that she was a revolutionary and that a lot of her words that she spoke back in what was considered to be her prime definitely resonate in the spaces and the company that I keep, especially talking about grassroots organizing and Black revolutionary work. I was looking at some of her interviews today, and certainly whether her voice is here in physical form or spiritual presence, we can all stand while we still have the tools to be able to revisit a lot of her teachings and just get a real understanding for a lot of things that she was fighting against that we're still continuing to fight for and against here in 2025. So I have a deep appreciation for Sister Shakur, and definitely wish I had the opportunity to sit and break bread with her at some point. So, yes, definitely a mournful day for us in the organizing Black liberation space.
You think about today, she was a political activist, and they damaged her name by trying to say she wasn't a political activist. You think about us, or being on podcasts. You're literally an activist journalism, but you're using it. You're an activist in journalism. You're an activist. We're speaking politics. You got comedians, but with Assata Shakur, as a young girl, she knew the power of truth and fighting for what was right. And so, as you see what's going on today, a lot of people are blaming the older generations for not sharing the knowledge of what happened in the past. When the reality is that we didn't want to raise our kids to always feel like they always had to look behind their back, that they couldn't make it, that someone was trying to do something to them. But we still know that, as a brown mom and as Yogi G as a Black mom of 3 sons, you constantly have to keep educating your children. But why do we have to do that? So with Assata Shakur being a political activist, she spent half of her life literally in another country because the FBI deemed her as I forgot the word, a number one. I forgot, Yo, could you give me the word? She was considered a not a terrorist. She was considered a I can't get the word, but
Get the word either. Chat, help us out. Help on out. Put it in the chat. Yeah, I know we're trying to
say. In chat, but basically, she was. Mickey, do you know the word that I'm trying to say? Because the word is gone. Basically, Assata Shakur was
revolutionary.
FBI. Yes, but she also was FBI's number one. I forgot what they call when the FBI when they put that on her. The state of New Jersey did it. The state that I'm from. Put her as a wanted. I forgot what it's called.
Most wanted list.
What'd you say?
Georgia Boy said most wanted list.
Yes, there you go. See, I need help. I need help in that chat. But a lot of the things I'm going to put on her speech. Well, it's not a speech. It's really what she was going through. And Yogi G, when you listen to this and when everyone listens to this, it shocks you because what she's talking about is literally happening right now. And she was young when this happened. And it's sad when you hear someone literally repeating. And so that's why we got to teach our youth. But we can't sit here and get mad and say, blame us for what's going on. The truth is there was another group of people that could have stopped this, and they continue their self-preservation instead of making sure that we stop the breakdown of Black and brown people. So this ain't a slash on whites. This is a slash on the history that still continues. They don't want us to know who we are. So I'm gonna put this video on in her words. It's Assata Shakur's words, and then from there, Yogi G, you respond to it. It's a lot in there. It's not a long one. I'm gonna put it, but I'm gonna share it now. I'm going to share this, and I'm gonna try this, and I think I can do this. Hold on.
Extradition.
My name is Assata Shakur, and I was born and raised in the United States. I am a descendant of Africans who were kidnapped and brought to the Americas as slaves. I spent my early childhood in the racist segregated South. I later moved to the northern part of the country, where I realized that Black people were equally victimized by racism and oppression. I grew up and became a political activist, participating in student struggles, the anti-war movement, and most of all, in the movement for the liberation of African Americans in the United States. I later joined the Black Panther Party, an organization that was targeted by the COINTELPRO program, a program that was set up by the Federal Bureau of Investigation to eliminate all political opposition to the U.S. government's policies, to destroy the Black liberation movement in the United States, to discredit activists, and to eliminate potential leaders. Under the COINTELPRO program, many political activists were harassed, imprisoned, murdered, or otherwise neutralized. As a result of being targeted by COINTELPRO, I, like many other young people, was faced with the threat of prison, underground, exile, or death. The FBI, with the help of local police agencies, systematically fed false accusations and fake news articles to the press, accusing me and other activists of crimes we did not commit. Although in my case, the charges were eventually dropped or I was eventually acquitted, the national and local police agencies created a situation where, based on their false accusations against me, any police officer could shoot me on sight. It was not until the Freedom of Information Act was passed in the mid-70s that we began to see the scope of the United States government's persecution of political activists. At this point, I think that it is important to make one thing very clear. I have advocated, and I still advocate, revolutionary changes in the structure and in the principles that govern the United States. I advocate self-determination for my people and for all oppressed people inside the United States. I advocate an end to capitalist exploitation, the abolition of racist policies, the eradication of sexism, and the elimination of political repression. If that is a crime, then I am totally guilty. To make a long story short, I was captured in New Jersey in 1973 after being shot with both arms held in the air and then shot again from the back. I was left on the ground to die, and when I did not, I was taken to a local hospital where I was threatened, beaten, and tortured. In 1977, I was convicted in a trial that can only be described as a legal lynching. In 1979, I was able to escape with the aid of some of my fellow comrades. I saw this as a necessary step not only because I was innocent of the charges against me, but because I knew that the racist legal system in the United States, I would receive no justice. I was also afraid that I would be murdered in prison. I later arrived in Cuba, where I am currently living in exile as a political refugee. The New Jersey State Police and other law enforcement officials say they want to see me brought to justice. But I would like to know what they mean by justice. Is torture justice? I was kept in solitary confinement for more than 2 years, mostly in men's prisons. Is that justice? My lawyers were threatened with imprisonment and imprisoned. Is that justice? I was tried by an all-white jury without even the pretext of impartiality and then sentenced to life in prison plus 33 years. Is that justice? Let me emphasize that justice for me is not the issue I am addressing here. It is justice for my people that is at stake. When my people receive justice, I am sure that I will receive it too.
That
What you think, Yogi G? It was a lot in there. It was a lot in there to
I mean, all I can think about is the conversations of the rooms that I'm in currently and how everything that she articulated are still things that we're fighting for, and we come to the table to talk about how do we seek justice against. And it's just a reminder of just how vigilant America can be, aggressive, savagery, and how savage they can be with silencing a voice against unjust acts that are happening. To hear about how she was held in solitary confinement in a male's prison with nobody saying anything wrong with that. It's just, I don't want to make light of it, but it's just same structure, just different players, and it makes me really sad to think of the time difference in our minds that we place on just how far along we want to say that these things were, but it was just like yesterday to me. So it's just a constant reminder, just hearing that story, that we're still in those times and we don't have time to mess around or just be bamboozled. What about you?
uh, I watched it and I watched it and I rewinded it, and I'm sorry I'm talking slow, but it's like a swallow when you swallow something and you be like, damn, this shit is still happening. Um, I'm sorry, I'm choking up. I when I heard her being accused at a young age, and then I don't know if you saw the video of back a long time ago when the state of New Jersey, decided to put her on America's Most Wanted through the FBI. They used a black man to be the one to make the announcement. And I felt like that was a slap in the face to sit there and put one of us as the image to describe her as if she was a horrible person. But if you know, give me if you give Mickey, give me 3 facts, or give me 3 facts in the chat of what the Black Panthers Party stood for. I mean, I could rumble them off, but give me three things. And if you give me 3 things, tell me one thing that the Black Panther Party did that was so wrong for them to sit here and take this young lady and stop the narrative and have this woman exiled to a whole nother a whole nother country, a country that they literally made the boogeyman. I mean, when you hear you hear of Cuba and you hear what they talk about, like Cuba's bad. But this woman lived until 78 years old in a whole nother country, having to learn a whole nother language, and was treated better than in the country where she was born at. Because all she was trying to do was to make sure she had her rights, and that the people that looked like her and the people that were in her community were given the same rights as everyone else. And so when I hear this, I think of what's going on today. I think about what's going on today. You have people being kidnapped, accused of crimes they never did, being shipped to a country they've never been in. Which, you know, the guy from Maryland being shipped to a country in Africa. Africa's not the country, it's the continent. But in Africa, they have so many countries to ship people to another country and to justify it. Um, it's horrible, and it's sad that today is the day. You were just talking in August is what do you call August is Black?
Black August.
Yes, and so if you're starting to look, so you got August, now you're starting to see September. I mean, the legacy keeps going, and it gets to a point where when is this crap going to stop? When are we going to be allowed to really show the truth and not be dumbed down to say that these are criminals? Because eventually, I don't know about you, Yogi G, if you don't talk about it, in school, they're going to paint Assata Shakur. And the other disrespect, now that I remember, they didn't want to say her name Assata Shakur. They wanted to give her government name. And that's another thing. When people change their name, there's a reason. But they purposely, you see the media today putting her government name from here. And it's such a disrespect.
Yeah, the media is not designed to help out the community. That's why you have to go for individual journalism. I know Mickey and Brother Elliot, they talk about this often, and just about how you just got to watch where you're getting your sources from, right? Like, that's the whole intent of these big six media corporations, like the Fox News is and the CNNs, or maybe not CNN at all, depends on what show you're catching, to just make sure the narrative is surrounded in what makes America move, which is capitalism and cash. So, like Georgia Boy said, same cereal, different bowl. And it's going to always be that. And we're seeing it now in today's time. There's not a movement, not a revolutionary, not a Black leader that you can't see interconnected exchanges of experiences happening. Like, I don't have to. It's like the Green Book now. It's like muscle memory, Medgar Evans, and of course you got the big staples, the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X, everybody that has been a big mover and shaker in our industry. Not our industry, in our community, that has provoked change or provoked people to think outside of the design box, has been eliminated when they were talking against the mega system of capitalism and unjust racism. So I definitely will put this on my calendar as a day to do something spiritually inclined in remembrance of Sister Shakur's sacrifice and intentionality to making sure that our people, her people, knew exactly what time it was and what we should constantly be fighting for 24/7, which is liberation, justice, and freedom and self-determination.
I didn't know if anybody wrote in the chat because I can't see.
Nobody wrote anything. I think people are intensely listening. It's on you, boo-boo-doo.
Just to give a little bit of background of her, because I feel like when someone passes away of such great history, you should know a little bit of background for her. So I hate saying these. Once someone says they call their name Asata, she was known as Joanne. I can't say the last name Chesimard. She was a political activist, and she was part of the Black Liberation Army in 1977. I think it was 1973 when the situation happened. I wasn't even thought of. I was born in 1976. She was convicted of a murder of a state trooper on the New Jersey Turnpike. She was born in New York, and she was 78 years old. I don't see she's had any children, but she was married from 1967 to 1970. She didn't have any kids, but Angela Davis was just interviewed a minute ago. A minute ago they put a post up about her, and I'm gonna put it up so you can see it. But give me a second. You could take it for 1 second. I'm gonna put this video up. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so it's going to be hard for me to put the video up. But Asata literally, in 1979, which is the BLA, Black Liberation Army, on May 19th, 3 armed men reportedly posing as visitors helped her, Shakur, flee from the Clinton Correctional Facility in Women's in New Jersey. And so that's a long time. I don't know about you. That's a long time for her to have been in a whole nother country. So that was one part. All right, so I'm going to move to another part because it is not pulling up, and I don't want to hold this up. I don't know if you saw in the news this week about the government shutdown. I don't know, Yogi G, if you heard what's going on with the government shutdown. President, I forgot the name you give him. He will be firing a lot of government federal workers, and to some people, they really don't care. They're like, government's too big. But the reality is that I'll give you a fact that when we think of Asata, a lot of Black women, when they were getting educated back in the 80s and the 90s, most of the jobs that they were getting were not in corporate America. Most of them were in public. And we all know that for you to work for the public, which is like the federal government, they don't really pay that much. So they took these jobs as teachers, government workers. And unfortunately, in DC, a lot of Black middle-class women have lost their jobs. And right now we're about to hit another hit again, Yogi G, where we're going to lose even more women in the name of DEI. And I know how people talked about DEI, but the unfortunate part that DEI did not help us. However, they're using it against us. And with this government shutdown, of course, they're going to blame the so-called far left. But the reality is that with this government shutdown, it's going to affect DC even furthermore. What have you heard other than what I just said right now about the government shutdown? You muted.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
All right, bet. So H-Bag was like, didn't he already do that? He's been laying people off left and right since he got in office, H-Bag. So this is just another double down, triple down, quadruple down on him further thinning out government. I remember, I forgot the name of this newspaper. I tell people about this all the time, but it's escaping me in this moment. that there was an article that talked about the state of the African American income being zero in 2030. And we're just 5 years into that prediction. And I'd say that it got expedited expeditiously, TI voice. So I haven't heard anything specific about the action itself, but I know that a lot of people are saying that with it being predominantly Republican led in the House, that now while people were looking to really drill down on the Democrats' part in us coming to another mass layoff or a standstill with Congress, that I guess basically what I'm saying is we've been here before. There's nothing that I'm getting too excited about or bothers me too much because we're already headed in a downward spiral. So I don't really have too much detailed perspectives for that particular topic. Are you frozen? Uh-oh. Is it me or is it she? Okay, there you go. You was frozen for a second.
I went out, right? I went out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was like looking. I said, "What just happened?" So I didn't hear anything you said.
Bottom line is that I don't really have an intricate perspective for that topic. I don't know too much on it other than we've been here before. So I don't see it as something that I'm putting on my high alert list.
So that the mayor, you remember the mayor back before Trump was president, she went to go talk to him to beg
Come
him.
on, your mayor Bow Bow?
You mean your mayor?
No, your mayor. Your mayor
Begged him to come to DC and tell the federal workers to come back to work because we need people to shop and eat because we need that money.
I recall that.
So she got what she wanted. He got all the federal workers to come back in, only to pack up and get fired.
But before that, she also turned half of our federal buildings into small dorm room style apartments, luxury apartments that nobody bought.
And still they sitting there.
Still sitting there with the house prices.
With the last federal shutdown, the Dems were split. If you remember, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, and from the Senate side, Sanders and all of them were like, shut it down. Like, they're going to blame us anyway. And I forgot the guy from New York, Schumer, went ahead and voted. It was 7 Democrats that voted for not to have the shutdown. And people were like, we need it. It's going to affect DC. And I laugh to this day because of the Schumer with that big behind lie. They still kept the government open, but he still fired all those people. And DC did not get that $1.3 billion. Right along with no money coming into the city. Now, our mayor's trying to build a legacy off the Commander Stadium. The reality is, if this shutdown happens, which we got until midnight before October 1st hits, and I don't know if they're coming back into session, DC is going to take another hit because when it's a government shutdown, all of our parks, all of our museums, pretty much any space that people go to will not be open. They will be shut down. Now, as a DC government employee, we will not shut down, but a lot of our we will get affected in different ways. So we might not know in the next 6 months, even though we're in a new fiscal year, they still got our $1.3 billion put away. We don't know. And if they do decide to not shut down, or if they do shut down, we don't know if they're going to mess with our budget again. So either way, DC is screwed, Yolanda, Yogi G. We're screwed. Either way, whether they shut down or they don't shut down. Other cities, I don't know in other cities. I was just talking to my friend on the phone, and I was explaining to her all this stuff like the effects of being in DC. What I can truly say that I experience of living in DC is that we see the crap every day. Where other people in other states look at us when we talk about this, oh, you're so exaggerated. That's not happening. Because when you're in a city, and especially like the nation's capital, you get to see in real time what's going on. Our media are literally what's going on now in DC. We get to see it. But when you talk to somebody who's only a state to 2 states, less than 2 hours away from me, and does not even know what's going on, and they're hunky dory going around acting like nothing's happening. And sometimes I want to ask, how's Michigan? Does Michigan get to see the same stuff we get to see? Is this set up by design that only a few of us get to see what's really happening? Will a lot of people be lost and get hurt because they don't think this stuff is true? I mean, you see the situation with the CK guy. We got people telling us that you have to sit here and show some type of feeling towards someone who preached hate. Now, do I say it's okay for someone to get killed for their being a political activist? There's a definition of a political activist, and Assata Shakur is an example. I'm sorry, I don't feel CK was a political activist. I feel he was a puppet that was paid and was told what to say, because as y'all saw this week, I don't know Yogi G, if you saw this week, HBCU campus, Tennessee State, had 2 guys that decided to go on the campus and set up with 2 billboards to see if they can engage in our Black youth on campuses to get them the rhetoric of conservatism. Did you see that?
I saw that mess, and then I also saw the interviews that they did afterwards when they were claiming that they didn't know that the college they were visiting was the HBCU. There's no way. Literally, the biggest billboard in history is at the front of the college, where you see nothing but Black students. So it's no way that you couldn't have known that was a Black college. And I think that the labels are just something that goes along with what we're saying about how media can exacerbate certain narratives. And it's on us to make sure that we are educating ourselves on how to do proper research when we're taking in information, and to do our jobs of making sure that we talk to our neighbors just to make sure that things are matching up. For instance, how we're giving you the news from the perspective of 2 local people who are involved in community, organizing, advocating, and staying in close earshot of those who change and create policy, to be able to kind of give a humanized or a direct experience to the narrative of what's happening in DC. And in turn, we watch what's happening on A10 News Media Group to listen to what's happening in Flint. And we make the connections there to talk about how these are our larger occurrences, systemic occurrences that we're dealing with, not just isolated, which strengthens the number when you talk about people being awake. But what I also am weary of in this shift in the narrative, they're now trying to use religion like they have before to incite people towards violence. But that looks like now here in DC, because we have home rule temporarily, they're working on it, and we don't have a strong legal arm to stand on, we're vulnerable. And I guess that's the gist of what we want to kind of drive in, where we're bringing these stories to you about what we're dealing with our own localized leadership, while we also have to deal with the tyranny and fascism, words are hard, especially with a gap, that's happening in the District of Columbia, to the point where now we got people who are coming from, where was that couple from? Not Michigan, it was Iowa, something like that, a white couple that came up here to DC, and they walked past this Black man who's minding his business. I'm gonna have to show y'all the video when we come back on. Huh?
I said, you need to show me that one.
Yeah, they walked past this Black gentleman who was minding his business, and then they started to film themselves while they called the police to say that this Black man had said that he was going to murder their white baby and his white wife. And it turns out that they were friends, quote air quotes, of CK. They had just came from a dinner with Donald Trump. Basically, what I'm saying is clout chasers looking to capitalize on the emotions of many people who are trying to turn someone who was very detrimental to the narrative of like unity with his hate speech into a martyr. So much so that we now have popes who are going on Fox News to talk about just how much of a child of God this man was and how he's the example of how people should be operating in this world. These are definitely not foreign times, but for our lifetime, unprecedented.
Well, you know, we had that in DC. They said it happened somewhere else, and you know the that stupid behind I can't even think of the dummy's name that be on TV, the blonde hair chick that speaks for the president. Lies all every time she get on there, she lies. But I know you saw it literally happened in DC. They were ordering, they were going to Starbucks and they were ordering a drink, and they wanted the person to write Charlie Kirk. So when they called out, they would call out the name. And I said, so this barista, it happened in DC, it happened in other places, but basically this barista in another state had got fired, but they did it here. And the barista pretty much was like, when have you ever seen them call out our whole name at Starbucks? When you order your drink at Starbucks, do they say your whole name? No,
I don't.
They
I don't
just call the name. But this is done intentionally, and we have people, you know, trying to create the narrative to mess with people's job, because the assumption is that if you're a black or a brown person or so-called left, that you are engaged in this CK situation. And at the end of the day, you know how many people get shot down all the time for saying things? I mean, I don't know about you. I've seen so many people being killed for either they got robbed or they weren't getting robbed or they were arguing about something. It was about their belief. You saw the Senate, was that the senator or the House of Rep, the lady in can't even say the state right. Minneapolis, was it Minneapolis or Minnesota? Just people just being brutalized for their beliefs. But the sad part, I feel, what's going on and what we're seeing now is that we're being held to a different, that now you can preach, so-called preach and teach hate. And now you're forcing me to now possibly do a holiday. Did you see that? Where they voted, even Hakeem Jeffries voted for, I don't even want to say it wrong, correct me, voted for some type of recognition for CK. First of all, it was unjustifiable. And it has nothing to do with, because he was, has nothing to do because of anything that he did that was justifiable, right? That we needed to, for now on, for years and years to come, we need to know about a young guy who went on college campuses and debated on lies. And still to this day, you can't even find a video that you literally can see that's truthful, that everything he said out of his mouth. Going back to this week, did you finish seeing our mayor when she was at the Congress and they were talking about cutting her, she was asking about her money, was asking about her safety, and you had all the Congress people in there. You had from, Josman Crockett. We saw last week, I think her name is Ayanna Pressley. We saw a lot of people speaking about it, but we didn't see the rest of them. And so one guy, I don't know if we talked about it this last week, but one of the guys that was on there, he talked about to Washington, D.C., that said, what are you doing about black fathers in the household? And that was one of Charlie Kirk's talking points. What does the government have to do when y'all so-called say y'all don't want big government? What does the government have to do with someone's household? Are we getting to this point where we're going to try to control people in their households? I don't know, Yogi G. What you think about that?
Yes, what do you mean? Yes, that's what they want to do. If you are taking government funds, they absolutely want to control your life. They don't care that you're paying taxes on every little thing that you are. Even if you don't have a job and you're not paying traditional taxes, you still pay into the system. And so, ideally, by democratic process, you're supposed to have a voice in this system. But when it comes to black and brown people, specifically black, because I'm a black woman, so I'm gonna speak from a black experience, they do not want you to have a continued autonomy over your day to day. That's just like what I was talking about last time that we were on this box or in this box about the documentary that I was watching. I came across in my research about the Harvest of Shame and how they had used people were so poor that they didn't have any much belongings, so they made it easier for them to be able to get stuck on buses for hours just to go travel up and down the road for $1 an hour if they get that to work on these farms, aka former plantations. And one big part of that is that they wanted to make sure that they had a space for the children. And the name of these labor camps, aka housing facilities, was called the Housing Authority. So when you talk about hearing things in 2025, a white man sitting up there asking, "What do you want to do to keep the fathers in the household?" He wasn't looking for an answer. If you see it play out, he wasn't looking for an answer. He already had his answer. He just didn't want to give it. It was implied because he didn't have to say it because it's continuously said in white spaces. So I'm none of it shocks me, honest. If that's what we're getting at, what I prefer to focus on is while we having this nice party shakedown of the black Dems and young Dems and all that shit. Is anybody going to have a conversation about the fact that it was our own Democratic Party, our liberal progressive party, that was screwing us here in DC in the first place? They just modified and passed the Rental Act, which means that a lot of people who are on the teeter-tot line of homelessness, which is now illegal per our president, are going to be thrust forth into homelessness with no qualms from the black people that we call our quote unquote leaders, council members, and things like that. So if anybody from A10 who has been hanging out in this chat is coming to shake their tail feather here in Washington, D.C. this weekend, you make sure you ask them what the hell they going to do about the nigglets that are causing us pain and oppression before Agent Trump got here. That's what I want to know. Who's going to get King Bow Bow and her Pow Pow friends to stop from putting us out on the street? We went from having 30 days to figure it out. Now, because of the act that our black people, with a sprinkle of whites on our council, we got 13 of them jokers, giving us 10 days to figure out what we're going to do with everything that is our livelihood. And then where are we going to go, knowing that you don't have anywhere for us to go? Because once again, you haven't cleared out the streets completely in the spaces that you were shoving us in that were deplorable, had terrible living conditions. We lost a whole child in that system, not to mention that's why one of our biggest shelters got shut down. So I find it hard. I guess what I'm ultimately saying in Yolanda's rant, Yogi G's rant, is I find it hard to keep my anger or my sights set on the enemy because they're calling me all types of atrocious words when I have to constantly keep my head on the swivel for my cousin and kin, folk who look like me but ain't for me. What it up, Shawty Shard? Thank you for joining us and tapping in. I said a lot, but I meant what I said. I've always been taught all my life on how to keep my head on the swivel for a white man and for somebody that didn't look like me, that had harm towards me. I saw Roots in all the movies that taught me about that struggle. The one that I'm struggling with the most is how to identify the people that look like me that ain't for me and mine because we don't got the same brackets or they want to separate themselves to say that they know how to do more better or they're more intelligent than the average person that's in poverty. Shardy Shard said, I'm not sure if y'all heard, but ICE done went and got a whole superintendent from Iowa and he was black. I believe it.
Yep.
They've been accusing us
And I
against
don't know what country they were accusing him from, but they literally detained him. I wanted to say real quick before I go to what Shardy said, what you were talking about, Yogi G. And so I don't know if you know that 2025 was supposed to be the last year of the Homeward DC Bound program, which was, I don't know if you remember the Homeward 2015 it started. It was a 10-year strategic plan that the mayor put out to say that it would end long-term homelessness. So I guess she's trying to keep her word in what you're saying, because it started in 2015. I was literally working in the vision where we were talking about that. And if you look at it, I guess what she's trying to say is, well, I said in 2015, in 10 years, that I will plan to end long-term homelessness. So I guess the way she's going to do it is, I didn't really do the work. So what I'm going to do is do what Trump did, escape, pretty much have the people thrown out the area in any shape or form. And so I just wanted you to know that that literally is up this year in 2025. So what you just said is exactly her answer to her legacy. She said her bold vision was that she would end homelessness by 2025. And what you just said is she's not. Is it me? Am I still there? I just want to make sure I'm still there.
Yeah, you still here. Ended by shoveling our asses up out of here. You know she loves a good bulldozer. Just what you gonna do? You got 10 days, and then the bulldozer coming to get you, your shit, and your kids and your cat, if you got one, or a dog, because we a dog city. Yeah, she gonna end homelessness, all right. It will be.
Now, here it is. We hear about a man in Iowa being detained who is a state superintendent for a school. And we got homelessness going in DC. We got people being detained, sent to Chantilly for 24 to 48 hours and then being shipped 4 to 5 hours out the way. But we still got people that technically are not U.S. citizens that live in Georgetown that are, like Trump did say, have vouchers and are being sheltered and housed in Georgetown. So he wasn't supposedly telling a whole lie, but what he wasn't telling you was that it was not the brown people or the black people. So when we hear half truths of saying, they were housing the people, they were giving them this, they were, yeah, they were, but it wasn't people like me and Yogi G. So I wonder if they're going to go to Ward 3 and go pick up those people like they're picking up the people in every other ward. Because have you heard of ICE Ward 3?
She's talking about the blonde-eyed, blue-eyed people, blonde-haired, blue-eyed people from Ukraine that came to D.C. and got business licenses and got to live up in Georgetown. I barely get to visit or ride a bus to Georgetown. They got a whole house and business up there. And yet they're considered to be migrants. They're considered to be living off of the
refugees.
Benefits.
Not even migrants, refugees.
Yeah, but have they been tagged in the bag? Absolutely not. They still walking the streets safely, soundly, in the bosom of Georgetown. If you ever come to DC, you should check it out. Don't spend money there though, but you should check it out. It's a sight to see.
Yep. Oh, he said that's a shame. Yes, it is a shame, but the reality is that people say, well, he is telling the truth. There's some truth in what he says. But if you would have been listening to that orange man, you would have heard everything that he was going to do. Until this day, I still get upset when people say, I didn't know. But you still got some people that still stand for their vote. And so I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, if you stand on your vote and you see what this man is doing to this country, then please do not ever call me to help you, when you going through, because you agree with this mess. And I mean that. Like, do not call me when you sitting here still acting like this man can do no wrong.
Yeah, Yvette said, "Hi y'all. You know that ain't they are not going to pick up white illegal immigrants." Mm, yeah, well, a girl can dream. You know what I mean? Like equal opportunity on its finest. You know what I mean? If you gonna say you gonna go get one, don't go get everybody. I mean, they ain't not the only ones. I don't think that anybody should be getting picked up and shipped off anyway, especially if you're a legalized citizen. Um, but I guess I'll tap dance off of that. And whoever DPD 5844 is said that's not true. We need a little more context, and you only got 5 minutes to give us that. Um, he is the most wicked, evil, and corrupt president this country has ever had. That came from Shardy Shard. Man, I think they all have been putting their stake into that title, Shardy Shard. He's just the first one to be able to rock it, walk it like he talk it,
Ugh.
unopposed. So,
Well, they say that they say the enemy will show you his face, and he will have to expose what he's doing. So we about to get off, but I just think about everything that he's doing now. Am I calling him the Antichrist? No, I'm not. But am I calling him a darn footstep towards the Antichrist? Yeah, I'm sorry. I do believe he is a little demon running around assisting in the demonic forces that are around us, because nothing he has done has helped. Go ahead.
DPD. Okay, that's not true about the Ukrainians. What part? What part is not true?
Challenging that.
I'm just saying, like, what part is not true? Like, and you got, let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You got 4 minutes to make it make sense. Yeah. So, I don't know, man. Listen, anybody planning on coming to DC soon? Please don't hesitate to make sure that you go to the South Side and go get to know some of the people before it's too late and we get shipped out of here, courtesy of our own mayor.
Check out Sycamore and Oak.
Sycamore and Oak. Check out Busboy and Poets. I don't know about that Go-Go Cafe.
Yeah. The Go-Go Museum. Bolton was actually saying that he didn't have enough funds, that he might possibly have to close the Go-Go Museum. I don't know. But that's the word on the street.
No comment. I still got to work out in these streets. No comment. And I'm like Mickey. Listen, my word on the street when it comes to my opinion on people such as that would be 99.9 somewhere from the trash can in trash land, to say for that way. But Yvette likes it. She says donate to the Go-Go Museum. You didn't hear that from me. I say donate to the African American Museum before you donate to that Go-Go Museum.
Oh, and this week, y'all got to come check out the Anacostia. Say the name right for me, because I be jacking the name up. The Anacostia African American community. They're having a lot of displays, and that's exciting. And that's exciting. I was just looking at it. What's going on? They're putting a lot of things up for us in our. I don't know if you got the email. There's an email we get from a group that we belong to, and in the email was talking about a lot of events that they're going to be putting up. So if you come to DC before we shut down, there might be some free things to do. Yes, the national. See, I don't even know how to say the name. What is it? The National
Museum of African American History and
Historical Culture, and
historical.
Yes, and that one right there, you can visit that thing several times. Donate.
Wait, because this might cost for an extra 5 minutes just for DPD. They got something to say, but Shardy Shard, yes. he's still going after the African American Museum, and they are removing artifacts out of there. Um, as we speak, they've moved a few just to be safe. They haven't totally changed the curation. I think that's the proper word for it of the museum. But they definitely have somebody that's doing assessments. Last I saw on a news broadcast. Um, Thank you. See, I knew I was right. National Museum of African American History and Culture.
Thank you,
All
Yvette.
right. Thank you, Yvette. All right, bet. Let's see. So DPD 5844 said about them getting a free ride. They had detained Afghanistan citizens who sacrificed their lives to help us, as well as the Ukrainians. So I don't think that either one of us said DPD 5844 that they were getting a free ride. What we spoke to was that there are some refugees who have gotten assistance out of our DC budget to be able to have better opportunities that we have as naturalized citizens of the District of Columbia. Not quite sure what you were going for that, but you know.
And I can attest to that because I ran a shelter during the pandemic. And the reality was, I had 200 African American, well, Black American males in there. And every last one of them, they were complaining in the community, where predominantly non-blacks, non-brown people live, complaining about the Black men being there in that shelter. And they complained to the point where they would call the cops on our Black men. And we ended up shutting the shelter down with lies saying that our men were doing something because they were homeless. And a lot of these guys worked, but because of them being incarcerated and because of them not having good credit, they couldn't get their own apartment. So they relied on this shelter and they went to sleep, and a lot of them would get up and go to work. And they're U.S. citizens. And the reality is, when they were moved, Catholic Charities, which I know for a fact, and other nonprofits, when the refugees came from Ukraine, they bused them immediately to Georgetown and housed them. And a lot of them have businesses in Georgetown. There's people that have been here for years, and that opportunity was never given. They were given vouchers, they were given housing. That is a true fact. Now, I don't know how it is when you do come from another country, I'm not talking about for the brown people, because a lot of them, remember, y'all, we are calling them illegals, but for some people they're called refugees, and they're allowed to get assistance more than others. And so what I do know, because I worked there, is that they were housed when people for more than 10 years have been looking for housing. And supposedly, like we just said in the Homeward Act of 2015, those people that have been waiting on the wait list for permanent supportive housing, for low rent supplement program, for Section 8, are now being erased off of the list instead of being housed. But we have people who supposedly Trump says he wants to get the immigrants out of here, but they haven't been touched. And technically, they don't have a green card. So when we say we want all immigrants out, we want people that do not have their came here, their status should be taken away as quick as they did the first time he got in office. He literally shut down the website, canceled their court dates, let them go into court, detain them when they come out. Did they do that to Ukraine? Did they do that? No, not in DC. Please tell me that. I'm sorry.
Well, you won't tell us today, DPD 5844, because guess what? Our time has come to a close. What we will say, though, is that this is an interactive chat, and we don't mind being pushed a little bit to come up with a solution and fact check. Okay, we love it here at 810 News Media Group. Let me see. So, people, we love that we saw you this Friday, and we got an opportunity to help old Otis out and come out here and give y'all our message early. But we want to remind you that we are on newly on Sundays at 7 p.m. Right, Mickey? You back there? 7 p.m. Right?
Mickey. What you call him, Otis?
And I've been hearing all that little stuff she been talking. Now, what up, though? Yeah, y'all usually on that Sundays, right? Y'all gonna
Yes,
be on.
we're going on Sunday because y'all are supposed to be on. Remember, y'all changed y'all time to be on
Yeah,
Friday in the
right.
evening. So
Eve.
today, when we saw that Wintis was on this morning, I said, "Well, we could come on tonight, just for
For
tonight,
sure. For sure.
because we want to make sure the show keeps going."
For sure.
So, Mickey,
Yeah, and
what is your comments?
I ain't got no. I was sitting back enjoying what y'all was doing.
No, I mean your comments on where we respond. We want to make sure the views of Ana and the views of Yogi G are
Oh,
not
they
the
know that's on y'all.
media.
Yeah, they know that's on y'all. I got no problem to come right back if a lawsuit come. I'm gonna send it right to y'all. Like,
And
you'll
reality
be
is,
practicing.
I'm not sitting here saying that I don't like people that are from Ukraine. I'm just speaking facts, and I'm
oh yeah,
speaking of what I've seen and what I've with my eyes and what I've dealt with. That does not mean that I am for saying that detain anyone. That's not what I'm saying.
And if you want to throw a lawsuit my way, you'll be practicing. Because then you just hear I said that in my city don't like poor people. Ha!
I just
Try
got
it.
one. I just got one through at me this morning.
Oh wow, what happened?
No, you know,
Oh
it was the
wow.
same person. Really, it wasn't me. You know who
You're
it is.
not talking about some.
Yes, yes,
That
yeah.
ain't no. Is it a real one
You
or
got
is it
another.
on Chat GPT?
It's another Chat GPT.
Damn, Professor Chat tearing y'all up, man. We don't need none of
Tearing,
those.
tearing me up.
We're gonna ask Professor. No. That's a whole nother show. We gotta stop using Professor Chat, man. Professor Chat is problematic.
Man, Professor Chat bugging.
Well, you know what? You can actually write back if he keeps using Professor Chat GPT. What do you? I forgot.
This is a she that's doing this.
What?
Yeah, but they out of the same.
We need an enemy. We need an ops list
Well,
for
is the
810.
person
So
the same person that was helping him before?
Yep.
Lord help us.
New plan. Justice Thornton needs an op list for 810. We didn't know that it was Death Row Records for real.
For sure.
It's all good. But nah, good people. So we'll be on. I don't think we're coming on this Sunday because we came on Friday, right?
Yeah, no,
so
we just
get the day off.
We'll see y'all next Sunday.
Next Sunday.
Or you might.
You might Sunday off.
Mickey, if Mickey has a Friday, I think I said Friday because that's when I be
Friday in the morning.
You just give me heads up and same thing. I might tell Yogi G, come on, let's get on there with Mickey real quick.
For sure.
Mickey gonna be on there a long time, and I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll be. You know what? That'll be something. If y'all free this Friday, now you hear me. If y'all free this upcoming Friday, we can do that in the morning.
Oh man, stamp that and put it in the books. We'll see y'all on Friday then.
On Friday morning.
All right, good people.
All right.
Good people.
Thank y'all.
Have a great weekend.
Peace. And we're